What's up? It's Tom bringing these Twins system recap from this past weekend's games. Any new viewers here? We're going to talk about minor league baseball. Don't leave. Don't leave. I think you'll have fun if you stick around. This is the meat and potatoes of the channel, but with the Twins trying to chase a playoff spot, definitely talking more about the big club going forward than I had been earlier this year, for sure. So get acquainted. This is a format that is in every one of these system recaps, and a lot of information. Kind of an easy button to following the system, I hope. So here are the results from the weekend. Not going to really get too deep into that. A little bit behind here, getting this out on Tuesday, behind because of the trade deadline. So usually we talk about games quicker than this. Here are the year-to-date records for each of the affiliates in the Twins system, focusing only on the full season leagues. So not going to be talking about the FCL Twins, the DSL Twins. That's just keeping it a little more simple than that. Still plenty to talk about, though. News and notes, of course, the big news. These were the prospects traded: Billy Amick, Bruin Agbayani, Giancarlo Reyes, Dason Hill, John Klein, and Demiri Pena in order in which they left. Not going to talk a lot about that because, lots of deadline talk yesterday that's out there, like an hour and a half of deadline talk on the channel from between the live stream and the recorded video. But I do want to kind of just point out, if you're still kind of struggling to digest the Dason Hill trade, this is kind of an unfair way to look at it, but let's pretend that the Twins traded the number 69 overall pick and about $2 million in bonus pool money into that deal. And I think that can kind of help contextualize that the Twins did well still, in my opinion. There's a lot of guys that got bigger bonuses than Hill and were drafted earlier than Hill who are not going to, account to as much as the Twins got for him. So, it's kind of a gross way to look at things, but at the end of the day, especially when you're making trades, it's all assets. And I think the Twins, when you boil it down to the starting point, did a good job with that asset. So we'll see how things go. In that flurry of moves, Zebby Matthews and Jack Anderson were optioned to St. Paul. Garrett Acton, a right-handed reliever, was activated off the injured list and optioned to St. Paul. Kyler Fedko suffered a pretty nasty-looking injury on Sunday night. Went down and actually had to be helped up and carted off the field. He was placed on the 7-day injured list. No word on how serious that was, but it looked really bad. Would not be at all surprised if that's a season-ending injury for Kyler Fedko. So, right-handed pitchers Merritt Jones and Mike McKenna, as well as first baseman J.P. Smith II, who had an insane week. We'll talk about him some more. We're all promoted from Fort Myers to Cedar Rapids, so some guys getting to take advantage of some of these openings across the system. And then Enrique Jimenez was transferred to the 60-day IL, the catcher they picked up at last year's deadline for Chris Paddock from the Tigers. Going to miss the rest of the season, it looks like. So let's move on. 3 stars of Friday. This is kind of the primary format, stealing this concept from the hockey guys, of course. The 3 stars of each game in hockey. I just think that's kind of a cool way to digest, to boil things down. And I've kind of attached a point system to these as well. So been doing these for every day of the minor league season. 3rd star, speaking of which, speaking of the devil, Dason Hill, the 3rd star of Friday. Rain-shortened outing, maybe his best outing of the year. So, seeing him go out and throw 80% of his pitches or for strikes and not walk a guy is a tough pill to swallow when that's kind of the biggest question with him is, can he throw strikes? Can he avoid walks? And on Friday, he did, and he might have gone deeper into that game had the rain not come. I should call out, too, this game was started on Friday but finished on Saturday. I'm still going to put it on Friday. So, yeah, Hill in his last start in the system looked great. Matt Barr, you could compare him a lot to Dason Hill other than he was drafted out of college. Matt Barr, a 5th-round pick, I think, in last year's draft. So still kind of getting his pro career under his belt, but a guy with great stuff. Can't find the zone, but he also, it's like lightning struck twice in the same spot on Friday. 4 innings, 3 hits, no runs, no walks, 5 strikeouts. Again, he's another guy that has walked a ton of guys, so that's great to see out of him. 1st star, though, Marek Houston. Coming down to the end of July, he was tied with his teammate Caden Kendall for the leaderboard. He takes it. Pressure was on. I mean, wow. The Marek Houston coming through under the biggest pressure moment in baseball of his life. 3 for 5 with a homer, a steal, a run, and 3 RBI. We'll talk about the July stars in just a moment. But honorable mentions from Friday: Ben Ross, Sam Armstrong, Paul Sean Pascalato, Garrett Spain, and Danny De Andrade. So, July star scoreboard, again, there's that point system. Anybody that gets a first star gets 5 points, a second star is 3 points, a third star is 2, and an honorable mention is 1. Here's how it broke down for July. Marek Houston, again, was tied with Caden Kendall coming into that final day, breaks the tie, wins July's star hitter of the month. This is his first hitter of the month honor. So a guy who's really leading the overall scoreboard, but this is the first time he's won the hitter of the month. Then you see Ryan Gallagher, who competed for just overall star of the month, beats out Merritt Jones for the pitcher. So Marek Houston, only hitter to get 3 first stars this month. He had 358 with a 429 OBP and a 611 slugging in his first full month of Double-A. Also stole bases. Not bad for a guy who's supposed to be a glove-first shortstop. He had the third most hits across all of Double-A in July. Not just the Twins system, not just Texas League, all of Double-A, the third most hits. And again, this is a guy known for his glove. Ryan Gallagher, the pitcher of the month, he got 2 first stars and 2 second stars in his 5 outings, covered 24 innings across 5 starts. There's not that many guys in the system consistently throwing around 5 innings, and he's doing it right now. Overall numbers weren't great because his one bad spot was really bad, a 4.13 ERA, 1.29 whip, 25 strikeouts, 9 walks. He gave up 6 runs on 8 hits in a 3 2/3 inning start in the middle there. So it's kind of an interesting thing about this star system is it sort of gives guys a mulligan if they have a bad outing, to where if you look at their numbers, it might kind of hide how good they were in their other outings. So just kind of another way to look at things. 3 stars of Saturday, though. Moving on to August. Isaiah Lane for Fort Myers, recent draftee in the 13th round, 2 for 3 with a double, a triple, a walk, a run, and 3 RBI. Lane played for 3 different schools in his college years. I want to address this one time and then kind of let it go. He was dismissed from San Diego for violating team rules early in their season. We don't have any details of what that entailed. I don't want to speculate. We don't know. I'm sure it was something pretty serious, but, kind of want to throw that out there so you are aware of that and kind of his backstory. But I don't want to hit on that every time we discuss him. So we're going to move forward there. Marek Houston already trying to defend his title. The first games of August, 2 for 5 with a double and a home run. Bananas run he is on. First star, though, J.P. Smith, who again was promoted to Cedar Rapids. He had a 2-homer game earlier last week. It's a walk-off homer on Saturday. So a huge week for him. J.P. Smith II. Saturday's honorable mentions are Ricky Castro, Ty Langenberg, Emmanuel Rodriguez, who's working his way back, 2 for 3 with a hit by pitch with the Colonels, Jake Murray and Vahn Lackey. You see Riley Quick's line down there toward the bottom. Not a good outing for him with the wind surge. Moving on to Sunday, 3 stars of Sunday. Third star catcher Carson Tinney for Fort Myers hit a home run, drew 2 walks in a huge game for the Muscles. Huge offensive game. We have a lot of muscles we're talking about here. That home run was hit 114.9 miles per hour. Among the Twins hitters, batted balls tracked in the minors, only Emmanuel Rodriguez and Royce Lewis have higher exit velocities this season. So Carson Tinney, in his first few games of pro ball, has already kind of staked a claim as one of the best power hitters in the system, and he caught that game as well. Second star, though, Matthew Dahlquist, 3 perfect innings with 5 strikeouts. So strikes out 5 of the 9 batters he faces, does not give up a hit, does not give up a walk. This guy doesn't have overpowering velo or stuff, but he's got a lot of different pitches, throws a lot of strikes, as you may have guessed, and can get some swing and misses, some chases. But that is a outstanding outing for him. But first star of the day, Luis Fragoza. So it's a Mighty Muscle sweep. He had a grand slam, drove in 5 runs for them in a 3-hit game. He's really impressive so far. Among Florida State League hitters with 200 plate appearances, he leads the league in slugging by 24 points. So not even close. The best slugger in the Florida State League. Now on the opposite end, among 256 hitters with 200 plate appearances across all of Single A, Fragoza has the 9th worst walk rate. So just an extreme player, crazy slugging, does not walk at all, a very aggressive hitter, but plenty productive, leading the Florida State League in slugging and OPS. So very impressive start to his Fort Myers stay. Walker Jenkins is among the honorable mentions. He was 3 for 5. He did come up limping. It was a dangerous 9th inning for the Saints. Kyler Fedko, again, suffered that injury that looked really bad. Walker Jenkins made a nice catch on the warning track, but came away limping from that. So that obviously put off red flags, but he convinced Brian Dinkelman, Saints manager, to leave him in. I think he did a little jogging in the outfield to be like, oh, I'm fine. So I'm sure anytime Walker Jenkins has a hangnail, they probably send him for imaging. This is just because they're really hyper aware of anytime you're like a tippy top prospect. So I'm sure, they'll take a look, anxious to see if he's in the lineup tonight. Hopefully he is. Part of me has to worry if the fact that Trevor Larnach didn't get traded has something to do with how Walker Jenkins came out of that game, but that's like a very paranoid thought, just to be clear. But Jenkins, Graham Brown, Aiden Teal, Vahn Lackey, and Colby Turner were the honorable mentions. Teal, Lackey, and Turner are all members of this most recent draft class. Moving on to the year-to-date star scoreboard. So this is from the start of the season on. Marek Houston with a commanding lead, nearly to 60. The first guy to 40 points, the first guy to 50 points. He's going to be the first guy to 60 points before anybody else gets to 40. A couple guys traded on here, Billy Amick and Ryan Sprock, RIP, wishing you well in your new organizations. But there you see some of the other top performers in terms of this star system. And then pitching. Let's talk about pitching since it's been tough for those guys to really stay consistent or healthy. But Merritt Jones and Ryan Gallagher are the top 2 pitchers in terms of this star scoreboard. Eli Jones had an awesome start to the year, but then got hurt. Riley Quick in the mix there. Matthew Dahlquist, who we saw, had an unbelievable outing. Mike Paredes, who was with the Twins, but probably going to miss the rest of the season. Dason Hill, another guy who got traded. Justin Mitrovich, Ty Langenberg, and a couple guys tied at the bottom there. So I want to call out Ben Ross, though, who was on. Let's jump back there if I can. Ben Ross. See, he's 3rd in the star scoreboard. Now that Billy Amick's out of the way, he's kind of the second active guy. His breakdown of games played this year: 39 at shortstop, 31 at third base, 22 at center field, 8 at second base, 2 in left field, and he's even pitched a game. So he is just doing a little bit of everything. Really a big offensive breakout this year. And I want to call out, I've been trying to do this more often, give guys credit for being healthy and playing a lot. For his minor league career in terms of full seasons, Ross has played 113 games, 124 games, and 120 games, and 96 games this season. He's just been incredibly healthy. For perspective, only 7 guys in the system had 120 plus games played in 2025 and only 6 in 2024. And Ross leads the system in games played this season. So guy who plays everywhere, a guy who plays every day, Ben Ross. The only other guys with 90-plus games played in the system this year are Brandon Winokur, Eduardo Tait, and Gabby Gonzalez. I kind of accentuate Tait because, of course, he's a catcher. DH is a ton. He DHs a lot, but he catches. And, that's impressive to stay active even with DHing as much as he does. So tip of the cap to Eduardo Tait. But anyway, if you are into this kind of thing, if you're into the minor league system and learning about prospects and things like that, also check out Limestone Pipeline, a project that myself and Jamie Cameron, another Twins minor league prospect and draft guru, collaborate on. It's $4 a month on Patreon, but we also have a lot of free content we share there as well. But either way, thank you for checking this one out and watching this long. We'll talk again soon.